My wife slept with her ex while I was driving Uber to pay our rent, so I secretly emptied our account and vanished without a trace. I'm a 31-year-old guy, and for a long time, I thought hard work could fix everything. I was juggling 2 jobs, Uber during the day, warehouse shifts at night, barely sleeping, barely living, but believing it would all pay off one day. Every time I saw those pay notifications hit, I imagined Mia and me finally getting out of that cramped apartment, maybe owning a little place with a backyard and a tiny garden she always talked about. Mia wasn't working then. She said she was between jobs and would handle things at home while I took care of the bills. I didn't mind. I told her, "We're a team. I'll carry us until you get back on your feet." She smiled, kissed me on the cheek, and said, "You're my hero." I held on to that sentence like it meant something sacred. But over time, something shifted. I'd come home after 14 hours behind the wheel, my back aching, my hands stiff, and she'd barely look up from her phone. Dinner would be cold or not there at all. She'd say, "I forgot the time," or "I wasn't feeling well," and I'd just nod, too tired to argue. The distance didn't start with shouting or fights, it started with silence. The kind that creeps in like fog until it becomes the air you breathe. Sometimes, when I'd crawl into bed beside her, she'd turn away, murmuring that she was tired. I'd whisper, "I love you," and get a faint "mm-hmm" in return. I told myself it was just stress, that things would get better once money wasn't so tight. I believed that because the alternative, that something was already breaking, was too painful to face. But deep down, a quiet part of me already knew it wasn't the bills stealing her warmth. It was something else. Something I couldn't name yet. It started small. Mia would be gone when I came home from a day shift, claiming she had errands or was helping her cousin with something urgent. I'd text her a quick, "Everything okay?" And sometimes she wouldn't reply for hours. When she did, it was always short, vague. "Just busy. Love you, I didn't question it." I mean, why would I? She told me she'd started volunteering at a local food bank. Said it gave her a sense of purpose while she figured out her next career move. I actually felt proud at first. I thought, that's the woman I married. Kind, compassionate, driven. I even offered to help out on weekends, but she laughed it off. "No, babe. You need your rest. You already do too much." Still, things didn't add up. One time I came home early from a canceled shift. Her car wasn't there. I called, no answer. When she finally got home, hours later, I asked how volunteering went. She blinked too long before answering. "It was fine. Nothing special." That night, I noticed her phone had a new lock screen code. She used to let it sit face up, unlocked. Now it was always face down. She said she was protecting her privacy after a friend had their phone hacked. It sounded reasonable. It always sounded reasonable. But then came the late-night texting. She'd turn away from me in bed, screen glowing under the covers. I'd hear faint tapping, then silence when I shifted beside her. If I asked who it was, she'd shrug. "Just a group chat. Nothing important." I kept telling myself I was overthinking, that my lack of sleep was messing with my head. I didn't want to be that jealous, insecure husband, so I stayed quiet. I trusted her, because love, I thought, meant believing in someone, especially when it's hard. Somewhere along the way, I stopped existing in my own marriage. We used to talk about everything, how our days went, what we dreamed of, even what color tiles we'd want in a future kitchen. But now dinner was either something microwaved and eaten in silence, or just skipped altogether. I'd come home to her on the couch, eyes glued to her phone, barely acknowledging me. "Long day?" I'd ask, hoping for something, anything. She'd nod. "Mm-hmm." And that was it. She didn't ask about the warehouse anymore. Didn't ask if I'd had difficult passengers or if I'd eaten. I was working like a machine, and at home, I felt like one too, a presence she tolerated. The worst part wasn't the coldness. It was the moments when I'd see her smile, but not for me. Her phone would buzz, and she'd light up like someone flipped a switch inside her. A quick giggle, a smirk, fingers dancing on the screen. Then, as soon as I walked into the room, it was gone. At first, I still tried. I'd kiss her on the cheek when I got in. I'd bring home her favorite snacks. But over time, her reactions dulled to polite grunts. It hurt more than I want to admit. Eventually, I started sleeping on the couch. I told her it was because I got in too late and I didn't want to wake her. But that was only half the truth. The real reason? Lying next to someone who turned away from you every night was lonelier than sleeping alone. I started to wonder if this was just what marriage looked like after a while. If this hollow version of love was normal, but in the quiet moments between shifts and silence, I knew better. I wasn't just tired. I was disappearing. One afternoon, after another 12-hour shift, I sat in my car outside our apartment and stared at my phone. Something had been gnawing at me for weeks. The cousin Mia kept saying she was helping. I realized I'd never met her. Never even seen a picture. That felt odd. So I did something I didn't feel proud of. I scrolled through Mia's contacts while she was in the shower the night before and copied the number listed under Amber. Today, I finally called it. The number you have dialed is not in service. I called again. Same thing. I checked the digits twice. Still dead. That night, I asked her about it gently, too gently, honestly. Hey, I tried calling Amber. Her number's not working. Is everything okay? Her reaction wasn't confusion or concern. It was anger. Sharp. Immediate. Why the hell are you going through my contacts? Are you checking up on me now? I froze. No, I was just worried something happened to her. That's all. She rolled her eyes, then launched into a rant about how I was becoming possessive. This is why I don't tell you things. You always twist them. God, do you even trust me anymore? Then came the tears. The breathless sobs. The trembling hands. I try so hard to keep this relationship together while you're always gone, and now you're accusing me. Suddenly I wasn't the one asking questions, I was apologizing. I was hugging her while she cried. I was the bad guy for caring too much. She went to bed early that night. I stayed up staring at the blank TV screen, and I remember thinking, how did I end up begging for forgiveness? For catching a lie? It was a Saturday night, the kind where half the city's drunk and the other half is trying to get away from them. I was finishing up my 11th ride when a girl stumbled into the back seat, reeking of tequila and glitter perfume. She looked about 22, tipsy but chatty. As I pulled away from the curb, she leaned forward, squinting at me through smeared eyeliner. Wait, are you Mia's husband? I blinked. Yeah. You know Mia? She giggled, then rolled her eyes in that way only drunk girls can. Oh my God. She never shuts up about you. Then, almost like an afterthought, she added, still hung up on Ryan, though. Classic Mia, right? The name hit like a brick. Ryan? I asked, keeping my voice calm. But she was already sinking back into the seat, mumbling something about nachos. Within minutes, she was passed out cold. I drove her to the address she'd entered, carried her purse up to the porch, made sure someone came to get her safely inside. My hands were steady. My heart wasn't. On the way back to the freeway, I couldn't stop replaying her words. Still hung up on Ryan. I hadn't heard that name in years. He was Mia's ex from college, the one she swore had broken her so badly she never wanted to speak to him again. The one she claimed had taught her what toxic love looked like, so why was his name still in her mouth? I got home close to 3 a.m. Mia was asleep or pretending to be. I stared at her back for a long time before I finally lay down on the couch. Ryan. The name echoed like a warning bell. And for the first time, I didn't silence it. The next morning, I couldn't shake the knot in my chest. Ryan. That name wasn't leaving me alone. I waited until Mia left, said she had errands. Probably another volunteering day. Once the apartment was quiet, I opened our shared laptop. I didn't know exactly what I was looking for. I just knew something was off. I checked the usual places first. Downloads, documents, even her Photos app. Nothing. Clean. Too clean. Then I did something I hadn't done since college. I started digging. Deep into system files, hidden folders, temp caches. Half an hour passed. My hands were shaking, and then, there it was, a folder buried under System Preferences labeled Old Docs. But inside, nothing was old. Dozens of photos. Mia and Ryan, them at a fancy rooftop bar. In hotel rooms. At the beach. Her in my hoodie, laughing into his neck. A selfie in a mirror where she was wearing the necklace I gave her on our anniversary. One photo had the hotel's date stamp in the corner. It was 2 days before our anniversary dinner. The one she skipped because she said she was too tired to go out. I couldn't breathe. My vision blurred. This wasn't a one-night mistake. This was deliberate, planned, sustained. She had kissed me goodnight and snuck out. She had told me she loved me while her phone lit up with his name. I closed the laptop slowly and just sat there, for a long time, The wall in front of me was blank, but I stared at it like it might answer the one question that rang through my skull. How long have I been the other man in my own marriage? I don't know what kind of man it makes me, but I needed proof, undeniable, gut-wrenching proof. Not for her, for me. To kill that last flicker of hope that maybe I was wrong, so I bought a tiny camera online. One of those motion-triggered ones you can hide inside a fake smoke detector. I installed it quietly above the living room bookshelf while Mia was out one evening. I told myself I wouldn't check it unless I felt something, but something in me already knew. I'd be checking it soon. 6 days later, it happened. A warehouse shift had been canceled, and I was home early. Mia was gone, said she was at yoga. I opened the footage and scanned the last 24 hours. At first, it was just her watching TV, scrolling, laughing at something on her phone. Then came him, Ryan. He walked in like he belonged there, casual, confident. He didn't even hesitate to take off his shoes. She greeted him at the door, not with surprise, not even with excitement. Just routine, like this wasn't new. They kissed, and I don't mean a nervous, secretive kiss. I mean the kind of kiss you give someone you've missed in ways your body remembers. Then they went to our bedroom, together. Our bed, the one I hadn't slept in for weeks, the one I still paid rent for. I watched about 30 seconds more before I had to slam the laptop shut. I ran to the bathroom and threw up so hard I saw stars. This wasn't a crack in our marriage. It was a crater, and no amount of love or labor was going to fill it. There was no coming back from this. Not now, not ever. After the footage, I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't think straight. But somewhere in that fog of betrayal, a new question surfaced. How much had she really taken from me? Not emotionally, financially. I logged into our shared savings account the next morning. We were supposed to be sitting on about $8,000, months of hustling, driving through migraines, missing meals, skipping breaks just to make that number climb. It was our future house fund, or so I thought. The balance stared back at me. 2003-17-14, I blinked. Refreshed the page. Same number. I clicked into the transaction history, my stomach turning with every scroll. She'd been making cash withdrawals, $200 here, $300 there, sometimes twice a week, starting 5 months ago. I remembered asking her once why she withdrew $500 in a single day. She'd said it was for an emergency car repair for her cousin. I didn't question it. I trusted her. That was my first mistake. Now I was doing the math, and the math was screaming the truth. This wasn't just about cheating. It wasn't just a broken heart. It was theft. A slow bleed I never noticed until I was nearly bled dry. I sat there with the laptop open, fingers hovering over the keyboard, numb. How much of what I thought we built was real? How many lies had she layered between my 14-hour days and her midday hotel check-ins with Ryan? She hadn't just betrayed me. She'd robbed me. This wasn't a breakup. This was a long con. A heist executed in soft kisses, fake tears, and ATM withdrawals. And I had just become the fool who funded his own downfall. I was halfway through microwaving leftover pasta when I saw the iPad on the coffee table light up. I'd forgotten it was still synced to Mia's accounts, mostly just used it for Netflix. But that night, the universe handed me something raw and cruel, a message preview. From Mia to Ryan. Once I get the rest out, I'll be done with him. He's too pathetic to notice anyway. My heart stopped. I dropped the fork I was holding. I unlocked the iPad. No password. She'd never changed it. Maybe because she thought I'd never look. Message after message painted the truth, sharper than any knife. He thinks I'm volunteering, LOL. Only a few grand left in the account. He won't even know it's gone. I feel nothing when I'm near him. It's like hugging a cardboard cutout. I'll come stay with you after I'm done cleaning him out. I didn't know what part broke me more, her laughing at my exhaustion, or planning her escape while still lying beside me at night. She wasn't just cheating. She was strategizing. Every kiss, every apology, every fake fight where she played the victim, it was all part of the exit plan. And I realized something terrifying. She was never going to break my heart. She was going to ghost me. Vanish. Leave me with empty accounts, unpaid rent, and no clue what hit me. That night, I sat in the dark for hours. Then something shifted inside me. I wasn't going to confront her. I wasn't going to scream. I was going to beat her at her own game. If she wanted to disappear after draining me, I'd just disappear first. From the outside, nothing changed. I still came home at the same time. I still kissed her on the forehead. I still asked, "How was your day?" Like I hadn't read the text. Like I didn't know she was planning to vanish. But on the inside, I was already gone. The first step was quiet. I opened a new bank account under my name only, rerouted my Uber deposits, and stopped adding anything to the shared savings. The balance there froze at $2,300. She kept trying to withdraw it, but now it wasn't refilling. I watched her grow more annoyed, more restless, blaming ATM glitches and bank errors. I nodded and pretended to believe her. Next, I called an old friend who lived 2 states away. We hadn't spoken in months, but when I told him I needed a place to crash for a while, no questions asked, he said yes without hesitation. "Pack light," he said. "I've got you." Over the next week, I started collecting things. Slowly, quietly, my passport, my birth certificate, copies of our lease. I boxed up only the essentials, clothes, toiletries, my laptop, stuff she wouldn't notice missing. At night, we'd eat takeout on the couch. She'd smile across from me like we were still a team. "Let's do a weekend trip soon," she'd say, scrolling through her phone. I'd smile back. "Yeah, that sounds nice." Inside, I was counting down the days. This wasn't revenge. Not yet. It was reclamation. I wasn't going to let her break me and walk away. I was going to walk first, and when I did, I'd leave nothing behind but silence. And an empty account. The bags were packed. The route was mapped. I had one last shift the next morning, and then I was gone. I was just waiting for the right moment to vanish without a ripple. That's when Mia dropped the bomb. I had just gotten out of the shower when she stepped into the hallway, holding a white stick in her hand. "I'm pregnant." My heart stopped mid-beat. She didn't look scared. She didn't look happy. She looked rehearsed, like someone delivering a line they'd practiced. I managed to get out a shaky, "Are you sure?" She nodded slowly, eyes locking onto mine like she was waiting for a reaction. I didn't give her one. Not yet. Later that night, while she slept, I sat in the living room with the iPad. Her messages were still syncing. Still wide open, and there it was. A message from her to Ryan, timestamped just hours after she told me, "Don't worry, Ryan, he bought it. This will trap him long enough to clean him out." Another message minutes later, "He's so easy. All I had to do was cry." I didn't feel rage. Not yet, just cold, hollow. It wasn't just infidelity. It wasn't just theft. She had turned something sacred, life, into a trap. And the worst part? There wasn't even proof she was actually pregnant. No test brand I recognized, no doctor. Nothing but a performance. She wasn't carrying a child. She was carrying a weapon. And I was the target. That was the moment I hit rock bottom. Not because she broke me, but because I realized how long I'd been lying to myself that she ever loved me. She said she was going to yoga that morning, same as every Wednesday. Same blue mat slung over her shoulder, same lie laced with lip gloss and fake tenderness. I waited until her car turned the corner. Then I moved. I didn't panic. I didn't rush. I moved like a man on a mission, calm, precise, ready. I pulled out the backpack I'd hidden behind the closet boxes. It already had everything I needed, my documents, some clothes, my laptop, passport, charger, and that little camera drive, the one with the footage of Ryan walking through my door. Like he owned it. I walked over to the shared bank account and transferred every last cent down to the final dollar into my private one. She'd wake up to a balance of 0 and no one to blame but herself. I took off my wedding ring in the kitchen. I didn't hesitate, didn't hold it or kiss it or cry, just set it on the granite counter, right next to her half-used bottle of multivitamins. It felt symbolic. 2 things left behind that no longer meant anything. No goodbye. No note. No dramatic final words. I closed the door behind me like I was just heading out for a coffee run. But this time I wasn't coming back. I didn't look at the apartment one last time. I didn't breathe in nostalgia. I didn't flinch. Because when someone turns your love into a transaction, the only response left is to disappear like a debt they'll never collect on. I got in my car and drove until her number no longer felt like a threat on my screen. Only silence remained. And in that silence was peace. By the time I hit the state line, my phone had already exploded. 32 missed calls, 18 voicemails, dozens of texts. At first, it was the usual cycle. Mason, where are you? I'm freaking out. Then, this isn't funny. Come home. Then came the switch. If you think you can just walk out, you're dead wrong. I didn't answer. Not once. I let the voicemails pile up like digital ashes. Her voice cracked and broke with every message, crying, screaming, whispering apologies. It was like listening to a symphony of manipulation. By mid-afternoon, her friends joined in. People I hadn't spoken to in months suddenly had opinions. How could you abandon a pregnant woman? She's devastated. You're heartless. You always seemed like a good guy. I guess we were wrong. I didn't argue. I didn't explain. I sent one message. Just one, to 3 of them at once. Attached was a screenshot, Mia's own words to Ryan. Don't worry, Ryan, he bought it. This will trap him long enough to clean him out. No caption. No anger, just truth. The group chat went dead. Not another word from any of them. Then, hours later, Mia sent one final text. I'll ruin you. I stared at it for a full minute. Then I blocked her, everywhere, not out of fear. Out of freedom, let her scream into the void. Let her try to destroy a man who already walked away with nothing left to lose, because the difference between her and me? She used silence as a weapon, but I made it my escape. I moved 2 states over, to a town where no one knew my name, my story, or the woman who once called me her everything, while emptying me out from the inside. My buddy came through on his promise, offered me a spare room above his garage. It wasn't glamorous. The floors creaked, the windows stuck, and the mattress was older than my last relationship. But it was mine. It was real. It was safe. Within 2 weeks, I landed a job at a local auto repair shop. Honest work. Clean hours? No fake smiles. No pretending. Just me, a wrench, and enough quiet to finally hear myself think. I stopped checking my phone every 5 minutes. Stopped flinching at every buzz or ding. I stopped waiting for closure. Because the truth is, some endings don't need to be spoken out loud. They just need to end. I started going on walks again. Bought fresh groceries instead of surviving on gas station sandwiches. I slept, really slept, for the first time in years. And when I looked in the mirror, I didn't see a broken man. I saw someone who'd finally chosen himself. Yeah, I lost a lot. Money, time, love, or what I thought was love. But I gained something I hadn't felt in years. Freedom. I started journaling. I read books I used to love. I joined a local hiking group, just to remind myself that not every new face came with a hidden agenda. I learned to trust again. Slowly, quietly, one moment at a time. But this time, the first person I trusted wasn't a partner. It was me. And for the first time in a long, long while, that was enough. It had been 3 quiet months. No calls, no messages, no updates from mutual friends. I'd blocked Mia on everything, phone, socials, even our old shared streaming accounts. I was rebuilding brick by brick, and for once the silence wasn't heavy. It was healing. Then one morning, while checking my spam folder for a work invoice, I saw it. Subject line, "Can we talk?" From Mia W. I didn't open it right away. I stared at it, my coffee growing cold in my hand. Eventually, curiosity won. There was no apology, no explanation, just a handful of sentences that felt like bait. I've been thinking about you a lot. I miss what we had. I know things got messy, but I think we owe it to each other to talk. Please. Just one conversation. It was so empty. Like she thought nostalgia could erase betrayal. I didn't respond. Not with words, anyway. Instead, I pulled up the folder I'd saved months ago, the screenshots of her text to Ryan, the message about the fake pregnancy, the laughing emojis, the plan to clean me out. I forwarded her email to Ryan, attached everything. No message. No subject line. Just digital receipts, let them chew on each other's lies. Then I archived her email, permanently. No hate, no drama. No closure request. She became what she turned me into during our marriage. Invisible. Because sometimes, the best revenge isn't loud. It isn't cruel. It's indifference. It's knowing that I don't need her apology to be free. I just needed to remember who I was, before she tried to erase me. If you're working yourself into the ground for someone who wouldn't lift a finger for you, wake up, please. Don't care how long you've been together, how many promises were made, or how much you've sacrificed. If you constantly feel drained, dismissed, or disrespected, that's not love. That's slow-motion self-destruction dressed up as loyalty. I was faithful. I was present. I gave her everything I had. My time, my money, my peace, and almost, my future. All because I kept believing she'd come around. That the cold dinners, the lies, the late nights, the silences were just phases, just stress, just life, but it wasn't. It was who she chose to be. And I was the fool who kept showing up with open hands while she slipped the knife in deeper. Still, I didn't explode. I didn't scream. I didn't go looking for revenge like some movie character. I just left quietly, completely, without giving her the drama she could weaponize. And you know what? That's the part that haunts people like her. Not the rage, not the fight, the absence. The fact that she had no control over the ending. So if you're listening to this, and you're where I was, questioning your worth, swallowing your suspicions, waiting for someone to finally see you, don't wait too long, because healing doesn't begin when they say sorry. It begins when you say enough, and sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't destruction. It's walking away with your soul intact and letting them live in the emptiness they created.